A look at the spreadsheet options and how do you use the spreadsheets. So let's go ahead and tap spreadsheet from the main menu. We got a little data set here that we are going to do a lot of great things with, including making some graphs, using some formulas, figuring out how to use the spreadsheet. This does work very similar to regular spreadsheets, similar to Excel, not nearly as powerful as something like Excel or numbers on your Mac, but still, nonetheless, it's a very powerful spreadsheet application. Take a look at our options here. Recalculate. If you have something like random numbers being generated, you go to File and Recalculate to recalculate those values. Edit. We've got lots of different options. Color link, we will talk about color link. This is a great feature for linking colors between the spreadsheet and the graph. We'll escape there. Select. Insert, delete, cut, paste. You can fill, either arrange or a sequence. You can sort search. You can clear all. We won't clear all because I'll lose all my data. Graphs. We can make line graphs. We can make columns, bar graphs, pie charts. I jumped to pie chart a little prematurely there. Let me go ahead and get rid of that pie chart at the bottom. We'll just resize this screen. Scatter plots, histograms, box and whiskers, row series or column series. So you choose which way you want this data to go. You can either go horizontally or vertically. You can calculate one variable statistics, regression, etc. We've got all these great options here. So let's start out by making a graph. Let's select one column here. And we've got the icons down below. Decimal fraction, we can write letters, we can do calculations, or make it the cell or an entire row text. So let's make it calculatable. How do you want to do the alignment? You can justify left, right, or center. So if you select that entire row, you can center everything. We can go ahead and do the same thing, or we can right justify. Select the row, or in this case the column, and we'll justify it the other direction, or we can just go ahead and put it back in the middle. The eyeglasses will tell you what information you do not see inside the cell. It's sometimes nice to see the formula. If you want to see how that's being calculated, the value is currently 9, and if there's a formula attached, it'll show you what the formula is. We'll go ahead and resize that again. We can make pie charts. Here's all the different types of charts, and we'll try a little bit of all of those. We've got more options. Similar to the statistics, you can insert. You can find and do a search for a certain value or a certain cell or a certain word. And we can do some sorting, ascending or descending alphabetically. But the spreadsheet works very similar to a regular spreadsheet. So let's take a look at formulas before we do anything else. Let's say we want to generate a second or a third list here that's based on calculations coming out of A and B. Very similar to working with spreadsheets. We're going to pull up and say equals, because we want to make that a formula. And we want to make it equal A1. And let's add B1. And we'll tap execute, and there you have it. If you want to fill that formula, tap to select, tap and hold. This is going to go ahead and move that cell up or down. I'll move that back. Let's go ahead and fill, so we're just going to tap and, whoa, let's go back up here. We'll tap, whoa, we got to tap and hold. There we go. So it's one motion. If you tap and release, it's going to select. Tap and hold is going to go ahead and let you fill that in. Now we're going to say edit, and we're going to fill. We're going to fill a range. The range starts from C1 to C4. That's what we calculated. That's what we tap and held. And we're going to use the formula A1 plus B1, and we'll say OK. And now each one of these, A2 plus B2, A3 plus B3, you notice the formula is changing as we scroll down. Similar to using spreadsheets, you could also do we only want to look at a certain part of it. So let's say you wanted to make this a $sign. You want to hold certain positions. So we'll just have to find the $sign. We'll just go to ABC key. And we've got symbols. And there's our $sign right there. So if we wanted to hold everything right at cell A1, we put $signs in both of those positions. We hit execute. And then again, if we wanted to do some calculation where it's all based on A1, so we're adding 0, we're going to tap and hold. I did it again. Let's move it back up. Tap and hold. Ooh. Tap, hold. There we go. Got to tap, hold, and then drag down. And then we're going to go ahead and edit and fill our range with that formula. And the formula now changes. So let's go ahead and close that keyboard out. This is a good time to look at the eyeglasses. The eyeglasses will show you that cell and the formula right there. We'll come back out. We'll try to escape. Now we got to go and resize this window. Here it is. There's a couple of ways you can look at that. You can look at the eyeglasses if it's a more complicated one, or you can just tap right there. And each one of those will have it on the bottom there. Let's make ourselves a quick graph. Let's make a graph out of the data in this box. So again, what I did there was tap and drag. There we go. So we want to make a graph using these data points. Let's try to make a pie chart. Pie chart is coming out of that. If you want to trace, we just go ahead and go View, Type, Calc, or just come down here and tap on one of the pieces of the pie to see what else we can do. So that's saying it's 17%, value of 1. Coming out of A32, 33%. And the fourth cell, 3, that's 50%. So half of the data is coming out of that one. We'll come back up. Let's resize that window so we don't see the pie chart. Let's try a different type of graph. Let's go ahead and select what we want to do. We can select the entire row, the entire column, or just the chunk of it. So if we wanted to do just those 3 cells, and we wanted to make a scatter plot just out of those 3, there you have it. The third point is right there. What's really nice about this is if I tap on one of these values, I can actually move it in the graph and it'll change in the spreadsheet itself. Show you a neat little trick here. We can do a regression. So I'll just tap a regression equation. Here's your regression equation right there. We'll close that. Now let's tap and drag on one of these points and see how the regression equation changes. That didn't do much. But as we move this point around, as it becomes an influential point, it starts to move the line as well. So your equation changes. What's really nice is if you tap the equation and then drag it into an empty cell, you actually get the equation at that point. Now, it's not dynamically linked, so when I move this, that equation is still there from before, and we would have to re-click and re-drag to get the new one to show up. It's a nice little feature of being able to have the 2 linked screens together. Look at our linked screen video, which shows you some more abilities of linking screens together. Very powerful way of looking at math. Well, again, let's try another type of graph. So we'll come back up here. We'll select those 4 cells again. Let's go with little time series. Each one of these A and B is going to be plotted differently. We'll tap on one of the points. It's A2, number 1. A2, the number is 1. That's A3, the value there is 2.15. If we come up here, cell B3, 4.6. Let's leave those highlighted. Oops, we'll highlight those again. Let's make ourselves this graph here. The graph here has, this is 100%, and this one is climbing. Let's go ahead and try a different one. Tap and drag. Stacked bar graph. This is counts. If you want to do a stacked bar graph where you have percents, we're going to select that again. We'll use the one right next to it. These stack up to 100%. So these are percents versus counts. Let's try another graph. We'll change the graph right from the graph selection here. We don't have to keep going back and changing those. We can make them go horizontally with counts, horizontally with percents. Same thing. Pie chart. Scatter plot. Histogram. Actually, that's a bar graph. Box and whiskers plots. 2 box and whiskers plots, one for each one of the data sets. You can change the type. There's another way of also looking at the same information. Columns, bars, pie charts, etc. You can also calculate regressions from here, showing the outliers. You can also use this like a regular spreadsheet, like I said. So if you wanted to type in some information like give a cell a name, we can go ahead and use our alphabet key. And we'll use the ABC portion of it. And we'll call this cars. Execute that. And underneath here, we'll say that's a trucks. The last one is the total of the two, so we could say that's total. Well, we'll put away our keyboard so we can see that information there. Alright, so let's take a look at the color link feature. The color link feature lets you connect colors with the graphs. In order to do that, we have to set up the colors for each one of these. So we're going to select our first 2 numbers. We're going to use that as a ordered pair. So we go Edit, Style, change the color of the characters. We'll go blue on that pair. We'll say OK. Notice they changed to blue. We'll change the next pair. Oh, that was a 4.8 there. So we tap and select, there we have it. And we're going to change the style there. We'll change that to red. Tap OK and OK. We'll do 2 more here. And I did it again. Let's make that a 5.8. There we have it. Selected it the right way. Change the style. We're going to make that one a nice green. And finally, we'll check the last one. There you go. Edit. We'll change the style there, and we'll make that one a nice bright cyan. Okay, now we're going to select this entire 4 data points. We're going to make a scatter plot out of these. First, we're going to turn on the color link feature. So we'll turn on color link. Made my pie chart. Now notice the pie chart is matching up with the colors I've got. 0 obviously is not showing up because if it's 0, it won't give you anything. There's my scatter plot. Notice that my colors match in both the graph and in the data set. It's a nice way of connecting different values. You can connect 0.9 to the 0.09. You can connect the 0.14.8. You can connect the next point and all the way up. Turn my graph back on again. So there you have your color link feature. Let's clean up the screen a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and resize. Resize that. We'll get rid of some of this information here. We'll edit and delete. Delete that row. Select those 3 and we'll go ahead and delete those. So that we're back with our data. I'm going to go ahead and select all of my data set here. I'm going to change those colors back. So we'll go back to style. It's currently a mix. We'll change those back to black. Okay, and we'll turn our color link feature back off. Otherwise, we'll end up with nothing but grayscaled graphs, and we don't want some grayscale graphs. Those are not very much fun. So we resized the wrong way there. Let's resize that way. There we have it. All right, so let's do some formulas. Let's calculate some things like the mean of list number 1 here. So let's go type equals to get our information. We'll pull up our keyboard. We'll go back. We'll find our mean. Our mean is going to be in our catalog. We'll toggle over a couple times so we get to M. Where's the mean? Or you could have also typed the word mean. It'll also accept the word mean. We'll double tap there. We want to find the mean of cell A1 through A4. And we'll hit execute. And there's your mean. So we want to type the word mean in here. One thing you want to be sure about is look at the type of cell that you're currently in. Currently it's a calculation cell. You can tell that because it's got the integral symbol with the pencil. It means it's trying to calculate. So it thinks it's a number field that's going to do something. If you want to make it a text field, click that to make it a text field. You'll know it's a text field because it's got the big letter A. And then we just go ahead and type in what we want. We want it to say mean. So that we know we're calculating the mean of that list from 0 all the way to 3. That gives us an average of 1.25. Let's do some statistical calculations. We'll select those 4 numbers there. We'll go to calculate. We'll set one variable statistics. Let's see what the list statistics are. We can do mean, standard deviations, etc. Or we can do one variable stats. One variable stats on that highlighted bit of information. So this is coming right out of the information we have selected. The output, we can put the output label in D1 and the results in E1. So when I hit paste, it actually gives us those statistics for that information that we just calculated. And you can do it for the entire row or just individual chunks of the row or individual chunks of the column. You can do the calculation vertically or horizontally. It really does not make a difference. You tell the calculator which way you want it to go. One more feature to look at for today. We'll look at putting a different kind of formula where we can recalculate it every time. We'll put a series of random integers into each one of the following cells. Again, in order to do that, you need to make a formula, which is equals. Pull up the keyboard. We'll choose random. We're going to choose random numbers from 1 to 5. Close my parentheses. Tap execute. We get the number 3. Let's put our keyboard away. I'm going to tap that and drag. Well, let's tap and drag down. Here's a series. We're going to go ahead and fill. We're going to fill that range with that same formula. We'll tap OK. Now here you have a random set of digits. If you want to recalculate those, like I mentioned earlier, if you go to File and Recalculate, it'll recalculate those. And every time you do that, it'll give you a new set of random digits. If you want to create a graph using those random digits, we'll just make a graph. We'll make a bar graph. And every time we go to Edit and Recalculate, File, Recalculate, you notice that it's changing down below. So as we make those changes, now you can imagine we had different calculations in there. Every time you do it, it will recalculate the numbers and the graph. So these two are linked together. Again, that's another great feature, being able to have 2 screens working simultaneously. So there you have a little overview of some statistics. This is a great application. Don't forget to check out our other videos on the Casio ClassPad 400, and we'll see you next time.